we're just asking for your guidance, wisdom, your support. As we start this meeting, please help us to engage in meaningful discussions and allow us to grow closer as a group. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, you may be seated. Call the meeting to order. Would you please do a roll call?
Burnham.
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
Peterson. Here.
All right, we do have a quorum. Wait just a minute. I've got my stuff out of whack here. Okay. All right, we have a quorum. Now at this time, I'm going to have the swearing in of Mr. Larry Miller, who has been our newly elected commissioner. Okay. If you'll repeat after me, please, and raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Larry Miller,
Do solemnly swear that I support,
do solemnly swear that I support,
obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
and that I will not knowingly receive,
and I will not knowingly receive,
directly or indirectly, any money
directly or indirectly, any money
or valuable thing for the performance or non-performance
or valuable thing for performance or
of
non-performance
any act or duty pertaining to my office,
of any act or duty pertaining to my office,
other than the compensation allowed by law.
other than the compensation allowed by law.
I swear that I will faithfully discharge
I swear I will faithfully discharge
my duties as Commissioner of Finance to the best of my ability.
my duties of Commissioner of Finance to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Okay. Now would we do another roll call, please?
Miller.
Here.
Burnham.
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
Peterson. Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next thing on the agenda is the consent agenda. There are 5 items here. September 6th meeting minutes, September 22nd meeting minutes, the September 22 claims, the August 22 financials for all departments, and the October 22 estimated payroll. Is there any item you'd like to have removed from the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Please call for a vote.
Burnham.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Chapman.
Yes.
Peterson. Yes.
Okay, item carries. Next is remarks or inquiries by the audience not pertaining to any item on the agenda. Is there anybody that would like to make any comments to our commission? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Mike Rogers, and I have a statement that I'd like to read to the council, the mayor, city manager, and the citizens of Mangum. I typed up this statement on September 25th, 2022, and delivered it to the city council members and the mayor. To the City of Mangum Commissioners and Mayor, on Monday, June 13th, 2022, Steve Kyle, City of Mangum Sanitation/Street Department Supervisor, texted me about setting a date so they could do a control burn to burn the limb piles out of the old City of Mangum landfill and have the fire department be there on standby. I, Mike Rogers, replied and told him I was on vacation at this time until Friday, June 17th, and that he could pick a date after I returned for the control burn. He responded, "Okay, sorry, didn't know you were on vacation," and that he would holler at me next week. I told him that would be fine. On Tuesday, June 21st, around 11:30 a.m., Steve tried to call me, and I missed the call, but Steve come up to the fire department shortly after the call to discuss a date for the city control burn at the landfill. The following day, which we said it, the following day, June 22nd, Assistant Fire Chief Chris Christensen and firefighter Joel Barrera went out to the landfill for the control burn at approximately 8 a.m., staying until 12 noon until the fire was out or was contained and extinguished. Approximately 1 month later, really 26 days later, on July 18th at approximately 10 a.m., I was notified by Steve Kyle stating the landfill control burn had started back after he had moved new tree limbs around the previous burned area. And the fire department was paged out, and the fire was contained and extinguished around 11:30 a.m. On this same day, at 12:30, Mike Rogers, went out to the landfill to double check on the extinguished fire scene while I was on my lunch break. While there, I went ahead and put 600 more gallons of water on the entire burn scene and its perimeter as an extra measure of protection. I returned back to the fire department at approximately 1:30. At approximately 1:59 p.m., I was notified by the police dispatch that the landfill fire had flared / started back up, and the fire department was paged out again. I, along with firefighter Joel, responded on a brush truck and arrived first on the scene. As we arrived, we witnessed an old white Ford dump truck with a faded decal on the driver's door leaving out of the landfill entrance at the time. I then notified the dispatcher over the radio to have any responding units be on the lookout for this truck, and that it had possibly dumped some stuff, possibly grass clippings or some sort of combustible materials on the burned area, and the result in restarting the landfill fire. Firefighter Barrera, the other firefighters, and I were able to contain and extinguish the fire around 4 p.m. After leaving the scene, I personally closed the landfill to secure it. On Tuesday, July 19th, at approximately 11:30 a.m., the fire department was notified by Chris Hoppengardner that the landfill fire had flared back up and it was moving fast. The fire department was paged out at that time, and the fire was fought and brought under control around 12 a.m. Wednesday, July 20th, with the help of several surrounding fire departments. I stayed out at the fire scene until 3 a.m., patrolling and checking out the fire scene for flare-ups. Firefighters Bobby Allen and Justin Taylor and myself went and monitored and extinguished hot spots until 9 a.m. On this same day, July 19th, the Oklahoma Forestry Division arrived around 9 a.m. and surveyed the areas that needed more attention and worked on them until approximately 8 p.m. that day, and releasing the fire scene as all clear. The Forestry Service commended all involved on doing a job well done. And then we roll around on Sunday, August 14th, 2022. Mike Rogers, while driving around the town square, noticed an old white Ford dump truck with old faded decals on the driver's door parked in the courthouse parking lot. I'm 100% positive that this is the vehicle firefighter Barrera and I saw leaving the scene of the landfill fire on July 18th that possibly rekindled the fire with dump debris. I then called Jackie Jenkins and explained to him what I'd seen. When you go back on Tuesday when Steve come and talked about this, Assistant Fire Chief and Joel Barrera volunteered to man the control burn on a standby so I could stay at the fire department office, and there would be someone to cover the firefighters on duty, firefighters Allen and Taylor, if they had to be called on a fire. If I had sent the firefighters on duty that day to cover the control burn, it would have left the fire department manned with only one fireman, which would be me, which would have went against orders by the interim city manager, Butch Clark. Staying at the fire department also allowed me to cover the department if the duty fireman needed to take over for Assistant Chief Christensen and firefighter Barrera at 12 noon that day to reduce the amount of overtime for the day. However, it was extinguished by 12 noon hour. Now, if you look back, Greer County was not under a burn ban at the time of the control burn, and to my knowledge, the Mangum Fire Department followed orders and procedures that it was asked of for that control burn and the future extinguishers of fires that followed at the landfill in the next month. On Wednesday, September 21st, 2022, approximately 1:24 p.m., City Manager Phil Paxton texted me stating he needed me to come to his office. At that time of his text, I was helping the street department clean out drainage on East Cleveland, so I texted him back with this information, telling him what I was doing. I also called him around 1:28 because he did not respond to my text and to let him know the progress of the drainage cleanout. He requested that when I get done helping the street department, for me to come see him at his office. I finished up with the street department around 2:45 and went back to the fire department, put the truck away, cleaned up, and went to City Hall to meet with Mr. Paxton. When I arrived in, Billy Chilson was in his office and I didn't want to interrupt, so I went outside the offices to wait. Lola Nelson informed me that the fire department had received some packages and they were up front. I went to get them. I took them to the fire department. Mr. Paxton called me at 2:56 and said he was ready to meet with me. I went to his office, was greeted, and was told to close the door. I sat down. Mr. Paxton proceeded to tell me the reason for our meeting. It was to inform me that he was cutting my salary back to captain's pay and I was no longer Mangum Fire Chief. I asked why, and he said, "You cost the city too much money on the city landfill and you were the chief in charge and the city should have never started the fire to begin with." Then I asked when was this taking effect, and he said it as of today. The mayor, city council, and myself have all come to this decision. End of story. I got up and left his office. You know, I take my job as a fire chief and firefighter extremely seriously. It is not only mine and my family's livelihood, it's my nature to serve my family and friends in my community. I would never, ever intentionally put anyone in this community or City of Mangum in jeopardy. I have and will always take my oath to protect our citizens to heart. So my question to the mayor, city council, and city manager is, how can this be possibly be one's fault when the entire process was a joint effort? Why has one person been singled out with this disciplinary consequences under this circumstances? Why wouldn't this fall under the city of Mangum as a whole, as the control burn was initiated by the city? The fire department had been requested by the city of Mangum to stand by for their control burn. Also, the city of Mangum has chipper trucks that could have helped with the buildup of the tree limbs. All I'm asking is for fair play. There were several things that could have been done better, including the preventing of a private citizen's access to the dump that the city had closed. It should be considered a learning/training experience by all involved, and maybe this situation could have been avoided in the future. Not as one person to blame. And I thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate that. Next item on the agenda is number 8, City Manager Financial Report.
Is there a discussion, ma'am? When is that?
You may address the commission, but we don't respond back on just comments. You're commenting to us. Has to be on the agenda as an item on the agenda.
I'll state my name, James Petzall. And yes, I happen to be the father-in-law of Michael. I would like to know what policies that he broke I want to know the policies right now. Can you tell me the policies that he broke to make him be handed down to assistant chief? Please. Anybody?
Well, this is not an item for discussion back and forth. You're just supposed to make comments,
Okay.
okay?
All right, thank you.
And you are welcome to visit with me or the city manager privately if you'd like to have an appointment. Okay.
Hi, I'm Michelle Huckabee. I am Mike's sister, and I also would like to see the city employee that was told to start the fire, and also the city employee that was also gave the command to let someone else put live limbs or whatever it was on the fire. I would like to see them reprimanded too. I mean, it wasn't our fault that the fire was started. It was started by the city, a city employee that started it or asked to do it, but yet our city chief is getting reprimanded for it. So I see that the city employee that started it should get reprimanded too.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I agree.
Okay, if there's no other else, go ahead with the financial report.
Okay. You got it up? You can find it? You've got copies in your.
I got copies.
Okay. The sales tax for August was up.
Do you have, I'm sorry to interrupt, do you have the whole agenda, the whole packet? If you do, it's page 156, if that'll help. You don't have everything. You don't have it, okay. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sales tax was up 12.59% over last year. Use tax was down 38%. Other revenue was down 38%. Of course, the transfers in and out, transfers in from MUI are consistent. So that left a total deficit, I should say, of 6.65%. Income-wise compared to last year. Of course, that fluctuates monthly, consistent with our sales tax and use tax receipts. So,
And Mr. Paxton, just, if you'll be closer to the microphone, she probably can't record. It's probably
Can
not
you hear me?
recording what you're saying. It's not hearing, it
Oh,
won't
okay.
record unless you're talking into that,
Okay.
and then it actually records for her. She can play it back
okay,
when she does the minutes.
you want me to repeat that?
No, you're good.
I'll be glad to.
Thank you. Okay. Were you going on to the next section, or are you done?
General government expenditures up 33.9%. Monthly fund balance is up 33.63%. MUA revenue is up 22.8%. MUA expenditures are up 11.9%. And the monthly fund balance is $71,959.02.
Okay.
Anything else?
Anybody have questions, comments on the financial report? Okay. All right, we'll go on to the ordinances and resolutions. Number 9, discussion and possible action to approve the resolution 2023-008, removing Billy Chilson, Lola Nelson, and Ron Gay from the bank accounts and adding Irma Mora to them. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the
We
motion.
have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion on that? If not, call for a vote.
Miller,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Peterson. Yes. Chapman.
Yes.
Okay, number 10, discussion and possible, motion carries. Possible action to approve the resolution 2022-09, amending the budget for the ARPA grant fund by appropriating additional funds for infrastructure needs. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Miller, call for a vote, please.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Peterson. Yes.
And number 11, discussion and possible action to approve resolution 2023-10, amending the FY23 budget for the fire grant fund, accepting and expending the money received. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mark. Call for a vote, please.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Peterson. Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item, discussion and possible action to approve the resolution 2023-11, amending the budget for the fire donation fund and general fund. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Okay, if not, call for a vote, please.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Peterson. Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Other items, number 13, discussion and possible action to accept government pricing bids for, 1, the 2023 extended cab Ford Ranger, and 2, the crew cab Ford Rangers, two Rangers, for the total amount of $98,185. Do I have a motion?
I like the motion.
And may I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on this? Anything?
familiar with what these are for.
Yeah, go ahead and kind of explain what these
Well,
trucks are
they're,
for.
One of these trucks is gonna be for the general superintendent, one for the parks department, and one for the, street department. And they're just to replace, old vehicles. Now, these are, these are Ford Rangers, these are not half-ton trucks. I had some concerns about replacing a half-ton with a Ranger, but I've done some research. Number one, it's gonna cost us an extra $20,000 to buy half-tons. That's one factor that changed my mind. And the other factor is that my son and daughter-in-law actually own a Ford Ranger four-wheel drive. That they have hauled, they've hooked up to a U-Haul trailer and moved furniture and stuff, and they said it performed exceptionally well. So I think we're safe with these vehicles.
These were the ones that, I don't know if you remember something, that Butch had brought up, that we were concerned with their towing capability, because they were gonna use them for the parks department to tow lawnmowers, pull trailers and stuff like that. We just were making sure they were big enough.
And another factor that I kind of rolled into this is that we've got that 1-ton Dodge truck that basically sits in the street barn. Matter of fact, I talked to Steve today, and I've talked to Butch a time or two about it. It's got a lift bed on it. And it's not really functional, you know, it won't lift a heavy load. I suggested to those guys that we find us a flatbed take that dump bed off, put a flatbed on there, put hitches on that truck. That'll make it much more serviceable. And when we have to take our backhoe to the well line, you know, if it's within a few miles, you know, we just road it. Of course, that just eats the tires off that backhoe on the asphalt. But we've got a trailer we can pull it with, we just don't have anything to pull it, that can pull it. Get some hitches on this one-ton truck, we can pull it. You know, we've have guys haul it for us, you know, and because we weren't capable. So, a flatbed's gonna cost us a little under $5,000, which is under the bid limit. So, and I'm gonna look around some more, but, that's gonna be my recommendation, is to take the dump bed off of that truck, put a flatbed on it, make it more functional, and instead of trying to pull too heavy of a load with a 3/4 ton pickup, we can hook up to it with a 1-ton truck and not have any trouble pulling it.
Bill, I got a question.
Okay?
That truck's got a dump on it, you said?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be more feasible with a flatbed on there and leave it a dump and put a hitch on that truck? We'd have two, we'd have a haul and a dump and a tractor too to move that forward.
Well,
The city doesn't have but, what, 1 or 2 flatbed dump trucks now?
got one.
To haul brush with, basically?
That's basically it.
That would give us 2. What we're doing is wearing the one we got out, hauling the trash right
And you're
now.
absolutely right, and I talked to the guys about that very thing today. And, because in the budget, there's money for a new 2.5 ton truck for the street department.
Yeah, well, that would give them
But-
access to it, I mean,
But the general consensus on that is that maybe we'd be better off if we bought another roll-off truck. But you can haul so much more brush in one of those roll-off containers as opposed to putting it on a flatbed. That we may be ahead of the game by getting a roll-off truck and making use of the,
I've looked into that 6 months ago.
yeah.
You can get a regular truck, like this trash truck that we've got now. You can put a hitch and a lift or a hydraulic system on the back end of it
Mm-hmm.
and pull a roll-off with it.
Yeah.
That way you can haul 2 loads out of the city at a time instead of 1 every day and 1 every once in a while.
Right.
And keep that dump cleaned out, which they're
Right.
not doing now.
Yeah.
So that was something else I was going
That's
out
kinda-
wondering
that's-
about, is doing it that
That's-
way.
Yeah, that's the direction I'm leaning, Dale, is
Okay.
toward a roll-off,
Okay.
and just because of the efficiency
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, I know they've got them.
Yeah,
Just the same way with these big canisters, metal canisters.
yes,
They've got them that'll pick up the small ones or the big ones,
right,
plastic, the same.
yes.
So that's what I was getting at. We could do away with the metal ones and go to the big plastic ones and just have to have one truck to lift trash with.
Yeah,
Yes,
we own 2 containers,
Yeah,
2 roll-off containers.
Yeah.
That's the direction I'm leaning,
Yeah.
is looking at maybe doing
Yeah.
a roll-off truck as opposed to another flatbed.
yeah, yeah.
And use it in the place of a flatbed.
Yeah.
And the bed that we take off of the 1-ton truck, that dump bed, we may very well be able to put that on a trailer and have us another usable vehicle
Yeah.
for hauling stuff. So, that's kind of the direction I'm leaning.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, call for a vote, please.
Burnham,
Yeah,
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Okay, going on to number 14. Discussion and possible action with regard to appropriating money to settle with Gary Curbo involving charges associated with his property located at 118 North Lewis Tittle. and there is no executive session on this. So.
I don't think it would be an executive session.
No, it really
If he's
wouldn't.
involved.
Phil, can you update me? Did you ever figure out what the amount was and what the law said and all that? I mean, did you talk to Corey? Corey's not here today.
Corey's not here, and I have not talked to Corey about that. He told Mark that the limit's 5 years, that we can go back.
Oh,
Is
okay.
that correct, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah, but I've been trying to get on your meeting for over 5 years. Billy Chelson wouldn't allow me to ever get on it.
Well, I can't argue that with you. I don't know. I'm not gonna argue that with you.
I got the
Billy's-
check that they wrote.
Right.
As soon as I brought it to their attention, I've been all these years trying to get on the council.
Right.
Which would have put everything way within the limit.
I
But
understand.
Billy Chelson stopped it.
Billy Chilson is retired. She's no longer with
Yeah,
the city.
but she wasn't. And I've been 3 months just trying to get y'all to
Understand.
do something before she got out of here.
We can go back 5 years, according to the attorney.
Plus an extra 2 because of COVID.
Pardon me?
Because I couldn't even get on with the other city manager because of COVID.
Yeah.
So you're still jacking me around.
Okay,
That's what-
this item is on the agenda, and I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a motion and discussion and all of that. And then, you guys will decide if you wanna table it or if you want to continue. So at this point, what I have to do is just have to say, we have this, item on the agenda. Do I have a motion at that point?
I'll make a motion.
You have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Now, this is where we can discuss it, table it, or whatever we wanna do.
Do we have a number, what the damages are and how come they're damages, or what?
We actually, I didn't bring it with me because I didn't think we were gonna have this on the, it was gonna be done, so I didn't bring that with me. There is a list that he had and he's got that has a total amount on it, and,
And
it
I
goes,
even knocked a month's worth off just in case on the billing cycle.
yeah, and it goes back to, what year does it go back to,
16, is that what you said?
15, I think.
15 or 16?
15 or 16, it goes back that long. And then you were reimbursed for that one check you're talking about.
But I never cashed it.
I know, but you
Okay.
were reimbursed for it, okay?
Yeah, that-
And then from that, and we would have to we canceled the check because it's been so long.
Right, and
And-
that shows from when, how
Right.
many years from that date on, I've been trying to get on, and Billy Chelsea never let me get on, which covers everything on the 5 years.
Did you ever talk to the city manager?
I talked to, the one that, during the COVID, I talked to,
Curtis Bogart? Did you talk to?
Bogart, yeah, that's when I found out about it. And then I got hurt and I was
So-
homebound for a year and a half, 2 years before
So
I
you-
could even get up and walk out of my house.
So you didn't call anybody or say anything about it? You didn't even probably, did you know it was happening still? Did you know that the charge was still being made on your bill?
Oh, no, as soon as I found out the charges was being done, I drove to City Hall, and that's when I got Bogart in on it.
Mm-hmm, right.
And they
But-
cut me that one check, and said we had to
Right.
get on city council meeting, and I never could get past Billy Chelsea from that time.
But once you got the check,
I tried
Did
to
you
try
not-
to get on.
the next month after you got paid back, you were still being charged for that?
No. That's when they stopped.
They stopped what? What do you mean?
When I got that check, the money I was wanting was all the money I paid while I was working in the oil field.
Yeah.
I had 5 bills come in on one ticket. When I went to the oil field, I gave it to the wife and told her, pay this bill every time. Never did realize Billy had never taken it off. I got to get off because the
That's-
oil field got shut down.
That's not
'cause
that's
I-
not Billy's, that's not her job to take it off. I mean, it's to notify or whatever, but it's not her job to physically take it off.
I went in to City Hall,
Mm-hmm.
she was going to go meet with FEMA and asked me, sign the paper, I'll take care of it. It's done.
Okay,
Okay, I signed the paper, then Years later, I find out she never did take it off. I had been billed for that. If it hadn't been for the employee quitting and going to the oil field and thanking me at Walmart for paying for the Christmas party, I would have never knew it was going on. We would have still probably been to this day paying that extra bill.
Okay.
The meter's never been there from the day they took the meter from my location and put on a house that needed it, that had people living in. This is for a garage. And all the years prior to that, I didn't spend $2, $3 on actual usage. It was just if I ever needed electricity, my garage had it. I mean, y'all was making money off of me then, but without the meter there, why are you still billing me all this stuff? The meter's on somebody else's house, drawing a check off of them. It's not fair. It's
So
not right.
you're saying a meter was taken off your house, it was
Off
put on.
my garage.
On your garage, it was put on another facility, and that.
During the
it's
ice
not
storm.
It's not yours, it's not your facility that was put on, it was
No.
taken off of yours, put on another, and that you've been billed for what that
Meter's
meter's
been
been
collecting
saying?
off them other people.
Do we know anything about that, Mr.
No,
Paxton?
hey, it's not, the meter ain't being charged me over here. They took it off my garage, which I wasn't ever using electricity, and put it on a house that needed a meter
I know.
for people to live in.
That's what I'm,
What this is just what I understand, I don't know, because I haven't seen it, but from what I understand, Butch said when it was taken, he was paying the minimum meter fee just to have it there. When they took it off, they never stopped charging him that minimum usage, because they're not
Right.
reading the meter, because there's no
From
usage.
2010 till,
But it continued that, because there wasn't anything, they should have just shut down that there was anything on
They
that
quit
lot, but they
billing me.
didn't.
How much money are we talking about?
$847 or 48 and change, wasn't it?
Well, the minimum's $15 a month, isn't it? So
Well,
it's several
Oh,
years. It's gonna
it
be-
jumps back and forth,
I
they
was gonna
went
say.
up, they went down, they had, it just, each month, I just took the total what they charged me, and that's all I done, was added that up.
and the check was issued in 2017, is that right? The original check was 2017?
Yeah, I think so. I left everything in house, I thought
Portion
y'all
of it
still
was
had
issued
the
in
other paperwork too.
2017.
So do we owe for the check that's expired?
yeah, I mean, he didn't cash
And
it,
that's,
so.
is that the?
No, I never
That's
cashed
part-
that
That's
check.
part of the 800.
Lawyer told me not, at the time I had a lawyer, now I ain't got a lawyer.
Okay, well, that's fine. How much money was it?
$847.
No, how much
No,
was your
The
check?
check that expired, how much was that check for?
300 and something bucks.
I don't even remember, I didn't even bring it.
Okay.
I think it was like.
But it had my
something.
It was
deposit,
300
everything
and
else
something,
on
I
it.
think.
300 and something dollars.
$300 and something dollars.
But it had my deposit.
I was
on
gonna
it.
say, but it had the deposit for his meter
Yeah.
also.
Oh, okay.
How much was that?
I think 100 at the time, that's
I think
meter.
it's 125 or 50
125,
they
okay,
charged me.
and then the difference was for a few months. But they were waiting on the rest, he was supposed to look into the rest of the months, from what I understand.
Yeah, what I got wrote to me was from January to the day that I went in there and said, hey, I was told this and found out, they reimbursed me from January and my deposit. And, the years that they had been charging up till that January,
So
they had to go before the city council.
So that was $15 a month for how long? How many months?
$20 a month.
Up,
Oh, it's 15
some
now,
months,
minimum.
there was a few that was $22 a month, cause they were adding different fees, and I get billed for every fee you throw on them.
I don't know, I guess maybe it was a late fee or something.
No late fees. I've never had late fees.
I personally think we should take a look at it, especially since when the check was issued is when they became aware of this situation, because that was at the end of 17.
And that's 5 years.
We're setting it
So
5
we're
years.
setting it 5
Right
years.
now, yeah.
Right now.
So 60 months times $15, is that what we're talking about?
Well,
There was
60
a
months,
few of them that was
15.
like $22 a month.
That's,
Have you still got all of them?
Yeah, I got them at the house.
I think he gave
Well,
them all.
60 months. Me personally, I'd like to see them
Well, we
Just see
we
what
already
the total
acknowledged
amount
it.
is.
And he never
Yeah,
passed.
We owe
it's
him about $500,
$45,
plus the
$47.
deposit, right? So we know we owe him that
You know,
much. Is
well,
the
the check that he
that we
got,
wrote,
he
the
didn't
expired
cash, you
check,
still owe him for that too.
we owe him for that
Yeah,
plus the deposit.
still owe me for
Right.
it.
That
Yeah.
plus the, I mean, and if you
That
add
was
that
in
up,
the
it's,
deposit.
it's.
I think the check
It's
was
around-
included in the deposit.
It's about 500 for the expired
And
check.
then we refunded him a check. One was for, we adjusted 185.28, and then we gave 167.75 refund check. That's what that was.
That he didn't cash, so, I mean, even at the 60 months, at the $15 minimum, you're looking at $900.
Yeah. 900 plus the check that expired?
No,
Or-
that's with everything, and then the deposit is what that would be, so eight, what did you say?
845 or 47, 48.
So if we wrote a check for
change.
850, we're done? That covers? If you get a check for $850, are we done? Is that clear? We're square?
Yeah, but that's more than what I'm asking for.
What
How
do you
much you
ask?
ask?
48 and change.
848 and
I
change?
just want what I got coming back. to
Okay,
me.
so give us a number. 848,
848.75, that'll cover it.
all right? Is,
Well, that's not,
I mean, I'm not trying to rape you like I
Get the-
was.
I can get the exact total number tomorrow.
okay, can we, table this and come back to it after you, can you check that here, or do you have to go in there in your office to do it?
I have it pulled up right now, but I won't have the exact
Okay,
number until I go and do all the calculations.
Yeah, it's a lot of, took me a couple hours to get it all figured out.
so
I
can
think
we
it
do
goes
it
back
today?
some.
Doug?
I think we can just, what if we just make a motion to
I ought
agree that
to.
Phil can, once they get the
I just
total,
want
he
my
can
money
authorize
back.
to write a check
Up to that amount.
up to that amount.
Won't you amend the motion?
Huh?
Okay.
Okay.
So at this time, we need to amend the, does anybody want to make amend the motion that has been made?
So I would amend the motion to, once we get the final total from Irma, up to $848.75, to allow the city manager to, agree to cut a check to him for the total
If
amount.
the figures come out and work out and all
That way we're not having to have an extra
I'll
meeting
work on it.
based on this.
Okay.
So whatever number she comes up with,
Not to
or your
exceed
number.
$848.75.
Will do.
All right.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second on the
You
amended
probably
motion?
come up with more than that, 'cause I let y'all slide.
All right, well, we appreciate it. We need all
Do
the
I have
money
a
we can
second on the
get.
amended motion?
Second.
Have a second. Call for a vote, please.
Burnham,
Yes,
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Discussion possible action to authorize the city manager to negotiate a sale or trade of Nighthawk Street Sweeper. Final approval will require a board approval at a future date. Is this just to, this is just to negotiate?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second? Any more discussion on that? I don't think there's really any discussion. Okay, call for a vote, please.
Burnham,
yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Going on to number 16, discussion possible action to authorize the city manager to negotiate sale or donation of real estate in Altus owned by the city of Mangum, property at the address of 420 North Navajo Street, Altus, Oklahoma. Final approval of transaction will require the board approval of future board meetings. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. None of us know why we
Tell us
own
about
property.
that.
Yeah, none of us know why we own property in
No
Altus.
one.
And we're supposed to be maintenance
Used to be a
correct, and it's obviously
home for
not.
battered women
Yeah.
when we take them and hide them.
But how did the city get to own it? I don't even understand that.
It's part of the New Hope.
It was part of New Hope, he
Part of
said.
New Hope.
It was part of the New Hope.
The New Hope.
It was
Oh,
under
that was
U-Haul
part of the
out
New
there.
Hope over
Yes,
there. Oh.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we used to take loads and loads of clothes over there for the women and kids. Men
I knew
and
they
kids.
had one over there, but I didn't know we
But
owned
we're
it.
basically responsible to maintain that. Obviously, that's not the case, and it's setting it out this looking like this.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
do they, I mean, does the city of Altus want the property?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just waiting for you guys to tell me what I can and can't do with it.
Well, I think you can negotiate the sale or donation of real estate to Altus as long as they don't give us a big bill.
Right, yeah.
Do we owe money?
Well, we just went over
If
there.
they tear it down, we will.
Oh.
Well, I would just tell them that's part of it, if they're gonna
We
take
go
it.
right
They can
there.
have it, they can have
Well,
it for that.
Hey, why can't Mangum go tear it down ourselves?
Well, I think that just needs to be part of the negotiation, is you can have the property, we'll donate the property for a penny, but you're responsible for tearing it down and hauling it off.
Okay. So at this point, are we gonna, that we voiced our opinions on that, and I
Okay.
agree with Dixie. And, but, at this point, we have a motion for him to negotiate this. Is there any other discussion on that? Okay.
I'll make
So
a motion.
we have a motion, and and I need a,
Second.
we did a demotion and a second. We just need to call for a vote, please.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Number 17, discussion possible action to authorize the city manager to initiate annexation of property located on north and south of Cedar Circle Street and east and west of North Logan in City of Mangum, Greer County. Final approval of the annexation boundaries will require the board approval at a future meeting. And this is for him to, the city manager to initiate an annexation.
I'll make the motion.
We have that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Is this is the,
Yes.
Yes, this is-
I'd like to make some comments on that, please.
yes.
That, as you can see, you've got a map there that
Where did that map go?
that wasn't in the packet, but I put it on your.
Oh, I was wondering what that was here. This one.
That's it, right there.
This is it.
Um,
Do you have one?
Yeah, well, we gotta look over your shoulder.
You should. Okay.
All right.
Do you see it? And how that came to our attention was the fact that,
Where is
that
Well, that's what I was looking for. It's not.
April Gerald's, at our last election, came to vote, and she wasn't on the rolls.
Okay, good.
So we started investigating as to why she wasn't. And then Debbie Davis at the election office at Greer County, she brought us over this map that shows the boundaries
That guy put
of the
his
city of
on the
Mangum,
master
and they're not in there. They're not in the city limits, according to this map. They're not, Margene Cappy's not.
Just that little square there
Just
on,
that little square.
on
Well,
Cedar
she
and
wasn't
Logan.
Sure, because April has been able to vote in the previous elections, and she also held a chair on the council for 4 years.
That's true.
They don't know, so Debbie said, once this is they redid this, they just redid this map. And she said, once they redo them, she can't access the old map, so she doesn't know if this has been an issue, if they've always been out of the city limits, or if
It
at
just
one
happened.
point they were, and when they redid all the boundaries, it pushed them out. She said she is uncertain, but at this point, she is not considered in city limits any longer. And there was a couple others.
It's just
with
her
that.
and Margene, right? Her and
That's my
Margene
understanding,
Caffey,
just
just
her,
those two
Margene
houses?
Caffey. Well, the law
No,
firms
the
are
way
not
this
in there.
is, it's not,
Well, and also.
Doug and Lori would be in that too.
Nick and Ally Kendall, they're on Cleveland, which I know it's kind of split on Cleveland, but they've been able to vote at previous elections, and they came to vote, and they also on Cleveland were
Yeah.
pushed out of city limits on this map as well, whereas
Yeah, I
before
can
they
see.
weren't. So there were several people. The Monascos are on there. I was gonna say, she's sitting right next to you.
Well, I know, but I mean.
This is the weirdest, literally, it cut out just kind of a
You know,
weird.
Right,
it always
right next
They don't, she
door.
said she doesn't know.
See, right next door is
Yeah,
where
I think the
Nola
white part
and
is.
Jerry
the city
live, right
limits.
next door west.
The dark part.
They're in the city limits.
Yeah.
I know, it's just that,
Jackie
They thought they were
is
in, but they weren't.
is in the city limits, and all the folks on the north side.
so this motion is to do what? It's to annex
Start the
that,
annex.
start the annex, and what about on the south side of Cleveland Street?
Well, that's what we need to talk about, you know, and this body is actually the Planning and Zoning Committee as well. And I would suggest that we have a planning and zoning meeting at some point
Are they allowed to vote for with the city?
Absolutely not.
Well, they were in the past because they were considered in city limits, but when they came to vote this last election that we just had, that's when they realized that
That
they
they
were
were
no
not part of the
longer
city.
in city
Oh.
limits.
But they have been voting for the city.
Because they were considered city limits at that time.
They just,
So
How
this
long-
map,
How long they been doing it?
Well, they-
Their maps though, right?
They redid their
And
maps.
discovered that they weren't.
but it's not even just the election board, it goes through the tax commission first, and then it goes to another board, and they sign off on it, and then it comes back to the election board. So it goes through 3 different committees when they change this.
Well, the commission, the Oklahoma Tax Commission gives the directive to the,
Right,
to
yeah.
the, election board as to who is and who isn't inside the city limits. And in this map, this new map, shows those folks are not in the city limits.
But they weren't de-annexed or anything.
No, they just weren't in they were never
So
put in.
another
Sounds
thing
like
that
a
I guess.
mistake on the map to me.
It was, initially, it very well could have been, but when all
But
this stuff
once
went,
it's done?
when all this stuff went to the county election board, things changed, the map changed, and this is the directive that came down from the Oklahoma Tax Commission to the Greer County Election Board.
Okay, then what do we gotta do to correct it?
Well, from
Well,
what
we're
I
gonna,
understand.
we gotta
doing-
annex the property, and we need to have a planning and zoning meeting, because there's some folks on East Cleveland Street that are also not in there, so we need to expand our limits to bring
Don't
those
get
folks
close
in.
to home up there now, maybe I better check my surroundings.
You are.
You are.
Yeah.
Okay,
So basically,
what
we
has
need
to
to make a
happen?
motion to.
we're just gonna
schedule a
ask
meeting,
him to initiate the annexation, and then we'll have to approve it once it's done.
And we'll set a meeting.
Do the property owners have to agree to it?
There's publication requirements and notices. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a
there is.
procedure, a legal procedure you have to go through to annex property.
When I was on the city council, when we built that house, I had to, where we built my house was 2.5 acres not in the city limits, and we had to annex it in so that I could stay on the council at that time.
So do we need to make a motion to?
We just need to make a motion. You've already made the motion to authorize him to initiate the annexation. And so then he will come back with us once it's done, show us what he's annexed or what he's recommending to be annexed, and then we would have to vote on it. Am I correct?
Yes.
But you wanna have a meeting,
Do you
right?
want- do you
Planning-
want to have a planning and zoning
Right.
meeting?
Prior
I
to.
think we
Right.
should,
Okay.
and,
Yeah.
And if we could publicize that to make sure that there's not any other places around town that are the same way, when you look at this, and look at this kind of strange,
Well, you
like
know-
here, they come along, that's in the city limits and that one's not. I mean, I don't understand that.
well, those were the only folks that I'm aware
Okay.
of that were not allowed to vote.
Those 3 sets.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to, and seconded to do this annexation, to initiate it, and get together with the Planning and Zoning Committee. So if that is no more comments on that or discussion, I'll ask for a vote.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Number 18, discussion and possible action on approval of the AC bids for the Welcome Center. This expense is eligible for the ARPA funds. Many of you may not know that after the flood and everything, that they went up there when it got hot, and they were gonna do some work inside, and both air conditioners were shot. They were gone. So, and that's part of our expense.
They're not working too good here either.
No, they're not. You're right, they're not. And we've had,
This has been fixed several times.
David Payne's been out here and looked at it.
Like 4 times.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Second. And this is ARPA funds, so it's not, okay.
Yes,
Call-
I actually called.
Okay, good, good.
Do we have bids on that yet?
Yeah, you got them.
Those are the bids.
You've got bids.
Oh, that were in the bill, yeah.
Yeah,
bids.
those bids were in your packet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're right
The,
here in the
The low
packet.
bid was David Payne, and
How
and
many
the low
units
bid
are there on
was
that building?
15,800.
Yeah, there was some,
Is there an upstairs in that building?
Yes,
that's
They're
where
not
the
planning on
inmates
air
stay.
conditioning that too, is it? It's empty.
Yeah,
No,
it's
no,
empty.
this
They
is
may
just-
store some stuff up there eventually, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I did,
This is just for the 5-10 years.
is this here just for the bottom part
Yeah.
to fix the air conditioners?
Yeah.
Not the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say, I don't know why we'd air condition a unit that was empty.
Well, if there was one up there, we probably wouldn't turn it on, but I agree.
Go up there and hide out.
Yeah, go up there and have it. Okay. If there's no more discussion, call for a vote, please.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. And executive, there will be no, we're in open session already. Staff and board remarks, is there anybody from our staff or the board that would like to make any comments?
Yes, I had it brought to my attention, Halloween, I guess in the past, the
I'm glad you
commission
brought that up.
has voted on changing the days of trick or treating, because when it falls during the school week, whether it's sports related and interfering with that, it falls on a Monday, and I know we'll end up having to have a special meeting to be able to, I think, change the day, from what I understand, because it's not on the agenda, but maybe moving it to the Saturday before.
I, for some reason, I got my dates wrong, and I was thinking it was on Sunday, and it would automatically be on Saturday, but it's Monday, and I agree. I mean, everybody wants,
I
you
just
guys
know
tell me,
it's-
you want it on Saturday, don't you?
I mean, I know the school and stuff has definitely made it very well known that it's very difficult to have the kids out till 11 or midnight trick or treating and on a candy high for days, and they come back on Tuesday and bounce off the walls, and everybody's tired. So I'm, as a mom, I'm fine with it being Saturday, but I just wanted to bring it up because I know it wasn't on here, so
I
we
know
need
the
to.
junior class will be having their fall carnival on that Saturday, so I don't know if that.
Does that
Do you know what
normally-
time that falls? Is it 6 to 8? Well, I figured we don't, typically, most people don't start trick or treating and doing the trunk or treats anyways until 7, so. No? 6? No? When is it?
Started like 1 o'clock in the morning.
I was like, wait, what?
Kind of kidding, but like 5 to 6, yeah, 5.
They start at 5 for the trunk, like for the church trunk or treats, or even in town?
Yes.
Everybody,
Turn the light
So
off.
Saturday would not be a good day.
Turn the porch light off.
They've only ever changed it because of church activities that I remember.
Well, at least you ain't down on the border and it goes to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well.
We loved it.
what were you gonna say, Scott?
Teaching for 43 years, I like it being on the date it is, because that's just me. They're gonna be tired, they're gonna be eating candy, and they're gonna do the same thing anyway. And you're gonna occupy like 3 nights, or, instead of carnival night and trick or treat night. If you put it, I'm
What's the
just
school
saying,
doing?
well, if we start changing it for all kinds of activities, it gets kind of mixed up.
I just know Granite does theirs, they do their school carnival and trick or treating typically on the same night, depending on when it falls, but
Your biggie deal, because this is somebody that come and asked today, your big deal is that they like to go to the businesses. And that's why they start so early, like they'll start,
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause they go
because
around
the
this
businesses
way.
are gonna close around 5. So I think typically, if I remember right, it was the city manager would say, okay, we're gonna say trick or treating's from 4:30 to 9. If they go past that, then that's on them and that's on the house owners. But generally, if you just did like a 4:30 to 8 or 9 o'clock, that way they can hit the businesses. And then as far as the city, because we're not responsible for it all, as far as I
Right.
know. I don't know that it's our responsibility to really set it, but
well, the junior class, they put on the carnival every year, right? As part of their funding, so is that gonna interfere, do you think, if we change it to Saturday with people going to the carnival? Yes?
I think it would. I know a couple of the junior parents, that will have to help at the carnival. I know Gina, Scott,
Right.
she's in charge of the trunk or treat at the Methodist Church. And so I know she will wanna be there, but she'll need to be at the carnival too. So I just don't know. I mean.
Like I said, I was just bringing it up, I had some people that, at the school, and different people asked if it was gonna be on Saturday or when it was supposed to be, so I just was gonna decide if we're changing it, or if we need clarity, if we wanna leave it. It sounds like leave it on the day of.
I guess. I mean, we don't have to make a decision right now.
Yeah, we're just, we'd have to have a meeting,
We'd
so.
have to have a meeting, but are we in charge of changing it?
The commission, I
think
guess,
we
had
are.
voted on it in the past.
I
is
think
what
they
was-
have, we have.
Why it was brought
It was
up.
like on a Wednesday or a Thursday.
When does it usually get dark about that time?
Well, this time of year, well,
37?
No, it'll
be It's-
dark at 5:30.
Okay.
Time doesn't change till November,
That's true.
first week in November, so.
Okay.
okay.
All right, any new business? New business?
No.
No new business? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second? Sure. That's just with it. And call for a vote, please.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Peterson? Yes.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned. We're going to go right into the Mangum Utility Authority meeting. I'll call that meeting to order. Would you please do a roll call? Oh, yeah, she takes you a minute to get ready, okay. I always forget that.
8 degrees in here.
The meeting?
78? It says 77. What is the deal?
Well, it's going 78, 77, so I guess it depends on how many
You'll
fans.
get back down here.
Well, and when we had our special meeting to verify the votes, it was Scott,
Here?
Burnham,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Chapman?
Here.
Peterson?
here.
Okay, we have a quorum. The consent agenda, number 1 to 5. Is there any item you'd like to take off that agenda? You didn't get the utility authority one? Well, I had to have that.
There's some over there.
You- yeah, I didn't
We
get
printed
one.
off
But there's,
more.
really, there's not,
There really-
there's only
really
one
wasn't much
thing.
on
On that side, Larry, I think you gotta go around, because all the
There's not-
electrical.
I think it's on the back part.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's very little on the MUA.
Well, some of them were double-sided and some of them were not.
Yeah,
Thank you,
well, I-
Jackie.
I left mine laying on the dinner, no breakfast table.
All right, I'm good.
Okay, any item you
Oh,
want to
okay.
take off the
Thank you.
consent agenda? If not, okay, call for a vote.
Scott?
Just went through it.
Yes.
Burnham,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Chapman?
Yes.
Okay.
Peterson? Yes.
All right, consent agenda is approved. Any remarks or anything from the audience at this time? Inquiries? If not, we have one item, discussion and possible action to approve the resolution 2023-008, removing Billy Chilson, Lola Nelson, and Ron Gay from the bank accounts and adding Irma Mora to them. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Call for a vote, please.
Scott?
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Discussion of possible grant opportunities. No action is required at this time. What were you thinking?
Last week, Larry and I attended a meeting at SWOTA. There were a number of state agencies there that have grant dollars available. And I just wanted to update you on that. OMPA, not OMPA, but the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. They have dollars available. We've got to come up with a project. All of this stuff requires engineering, so there's expense, to get these projects engineered. And those are, that's required on all these government projects, is an engineering study. One thing I'm looking at specifically is we need a discharge permit for the lagoons. We need to build a line to the river. Right now, it's drier than a chip, as everybody knows, but it's gonna rain again, and I've seen those lagoons topping over. And that's gonna happen again, and at some point, they're gonna top over, and then they're gonna make a cut, and then we're gonna be in trouble. We're gonna have a big mess then. So we really need a discharge permit, we need that discharge line to the river, and we can get grant dollars for that.
You're talking about building a whole new pipe, putting a
pipe.
pipe in.
Absolutely.
Big pipe in and taking it and sending it to the river. And right now, I thought we already dumped in the river.
Well, we did with the.
We did, but they required it to finish the last quarter mile.
Oh.
I believe it's a quarter mile, the rest is just open.
And I wanna say, I don't know, Dave brought that up at a meeting, and I'm not so sure that didn't do anything with it, but I wanna say that they did have an engineer come out and tell them what we needed. Uma, do you remember that?
I don't, but I think I had something on.
I was gonna say, I
last
do
time
think there was
we had
something
here.
done where we got the information we needed as to what was required, so we may already be ahead on that.
Yes.
Actually, I think we're behind the curve on that.
Well, I mean,
You know.
it should have already been done, but I
Should've
mean, I
already
think.
been done
we
years
have-
ago, but that's neither here nor there. But I do not think there's an engineering study available for that project.
Okay.
I've looked.
Oh, okay.
I've not even found a discharge permit. We've got a discharge permit for reuse, which goes, to the irrigation systems, where they can reuse the water out of that final retention pond. And we do have that, and that's one source of getting rid of flood. But it's not enough. It's not nearly enough. We need that discharge line from that final retention pond all the way to the river. I know there was an open ditch, EPA shut that down, or DEQ, I should say.
DEQ.
DEQ shut that down. And
I
it's
think
my
that
underst-
happened the last time I was on commission.
Right,
It's been that long.
it's been that long. So, we're gonna get into a mess with that if we don't take some action on that. And, there may be an opportunity on a closed program that we may have some access to on a closed grant program. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that information. Any other questions to city manager?
Well, let me just add something
Mhm.
that, Phil, a takeaway that I had at that conference was the importance of household median income as it pertains to grants and loans and qualifying for those. And I think we may be on the lower end of that line. And one of the things I think we as a group need to consider is a more aggressive posture on annexing, because we can bring in other people who can help us with that median income. And it would qualify us then for more funds to help ourselves. And I think there's a lot of advantages to that too, and I think that's just a matter of advertising those advantages to the people.
Statistically, the SWOTA, which is a great organization, I'm one of their biggest fans, but they have that information available. You just need to tap into it. I mean, they've got a lot of resources that I intend to tap into. Of course, Clyde Morgan, he's working on a backdoor deal for us on a grant, so.
One more quick thing,
Okay,
kind
sure.
of change the topic, but you went to a meeting Monday at Oklahoma City on the OMPA, wasn't it?
Correct.
Was there any takeaway from that concerning our electric
Well,
business
no,
here?
that meeting,
Or did it have,
the meeting I went to at OMPA was basically a training session.
okay,
And the main reason I went was because we gained cut points for attending that meeting. And that's really the only reason I went, was to gather the points up.
okay.
Now, I'm meeting on the 14th of October at OMPA with their top 3 officials. And we're gonna talk about the study on the power plant, adding the capacity. Lisa Church, the grant writer for SWOTA, tells me that there's money coming down that we may be able to get to add that capacity, And we're looking at a 10-megawatt plant, and that's gonna be, I'm guessing with escalation, it could be as much as $20 million. I would hope more like 16, but you know how prices go up.
And this is the one that she brought to us, that she told us there was gonna be a no match grant, but if we could have the engineering completely done, we would be ahead of the
And
curve
we've
to
got,
get
we've
that
got
money.
that.
Right.
We've got that. Matter of fact, I've got a call to make, tomorrow to the engineering firm, to talk about that. Talk about the, finalizing the study, the engineering study. So
Good deal.
that's in progress. We're working that. If it all works out, then we're gonna build us a 10 megawatt plant. Of course, the key factor there is the money.
Yeah.
We can't get the grant dollars, we can't do it, we can't afford to do it. I mean, the cost would be prohibitive
Mhm.
to the ratepayer,
Mhm.
so.
Okay, thank you very much. On this, staff and board remarks of any kind? Any new business for the utility authority? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Have a second, please call for a vote.
Scott,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Okay. All right.